Hi, everybody. We're having a conversation today with Mr. Jared Parrish, or Pastor Jared Parrish, and we're going to be talking about, the divide in America today. And we're going to, kind of have some leniency with that and discuss particular things that are relevant to our life's experience. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and NWI. I'm excited about the conversation. It is a hot topic today. As we've seen in our news and in society, there are so many things that divide us. And I, like you, are more wanting to focus on the things that unite us. Because therein lies the options of how we can find solutions to problems.
Amen. I like to, there's so many subcategories. We have a file, it's called a file discrimination. There's so many versions of discrimination, from gender inequality to racial inequality, spiritual inequality, racial inequality. I mean, you can go off and on, and short, white, Indian, it doesn't matter. People make up whatever. There was a case several months ago where two Latino ladies got pulled over simply because they were speaking Spanish. They were both American citizens. Have we, in your opinion, is America more divided or more united today than ever before? What, in your opinion, what are your thoughts on that?
It's a yes and no. We are more divided, but we are more united, and so it all depends on what lens we're looking at it. The internet has united the world like never before. But at the same time, the internet has divided the world like never before. And so it clearly depends on how you're looking at it and your perception of things. But to your point, every area of society has its divisions because every area of society has built labels. In education, we label our children. We label them 504, we label them ESC, we label them honor students. Those labels become divisions. In arts and entertainment, we label things. And so in labeling things, we tend by default to divide people because of the labels. In religion, we label religion. So Sunday morning becomes the most divided day, in which was never God's intention. And so because of that, we label ourselves Democrats and Republicans, independents, and once again, those labels create silo walls of division. And so part of the problem is to begin to remove these labels.
See, that's a beautiful thing. We did a segment on that last week. I am so blessed to speak with intellectuals. When we're trying to create and solve solutions, or trying to have a conversation or open a dialogue about resolution, we can't resolve anything unless we open that dialogue and have a candid conversation about different perspectives relevant to the problem. And when in speaking with you, you're bringing up so many key points. When we discuss labeling, as you stated, it becomes a micro issue. We're not even talking about macro labeling anymore, where we talk about divisions of race, religion, gender. All of these are major issues. But now we're bringing it down to I'm a French American, I'm a Polish American, I'm an Italian. The hyphens, the labels. Like you said, you were talking about different categories in schools. As long as, how can there ever be true equality with these labels and these walls that we've built for ourselves?
Yeah, and that is the core of the problem, because the labels were I don't know if they were divisive in their intent, but consequently they've become extremely divisive. And now that division gets funded. And then the reality is that every label now wants a stage. Every label wants a stage. And so in doing so, now I have a movement, now I have an agenda. And then my agenda becomes more important than your agenda. And so my advocacy for my issues become more important than yours. And now,
so how is that equality?
Now I'm fighting against you.
That's right. So it's kind of a reverse effect on that
and
equality.
You made a good point. These are all branches. And so, I don't have a green thumb, but I'm wise enough to know I can't kill a tree by cutting off its branches and its leaves. I have to dig up the root. And the root of the issue becomes a heart problem. And so all of our issues in society are heart problems. It's not gun control, it's heart control. You know, it's understanding that who's in control of my heart, and therein lies the root of all of society issues.
Amen.
It becomes whose heart control. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm not the donkey. I'm not the elephant. I'm called to be the lamb.
That's right.
Because, see, I follow a higher calling. As a pastor and as a child of God, as a child of the King, I'm not a donkey, I'm not an elephant, I'm the lamb. I'm called to be the lamb. I'm called to be the one that brings peace and sees that there is a better way. More importantly, I must honor God's intent and purpose for life and for godliness and the abundance that He says that He brings through a relationship with Him. But again, it's not just about religion, because even in our belief systems, we have labels.
That's right.
And so the Protestants, you know, operate over here, the Catholics operate over here, the Buddhists operate over here, because we've put labels. And those labels become divisive. And, you know, so now the Seventh-day Adventists want to stay over here, and I stay over here, and then we create a spirit of separation. Woven into the tapestry of our culture is division and racism. So until we have an honest discussion, it's woven into the fabric of our society, to the point where you and I may not even see it anymore because it's so embedded into the tapestry, is racism and division. And the mindset that it's okay to prejudge without me even knowing really who you are.
Yeah, see, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because that's absolutely the truth that we try to get to. You know, I've been running a series on the human condition and the way we think, and what you were just saying is right down to the bare roots of what we're trying to get at. You know, we're so ingrained in equal opportunities, everybody wants special privileges, that we've actually negated the actual, the ability to have equal opportunity, because there's so many, everybody's got special rights. You know, when we're talking, we got to drop these labels and drop these categories. And it's, it's what you were saying is a beautiful thing, because as long as there's a difference of opinion, you were talking about the heart, and, is the only way that you're going to have true equality is if everybody is created in the same machine, programmed on the same computer to think the same way, act the same way, look the same way. Then you're going to have true equality. Yeah,
and that'll be boring.
But we're not. But we want everybody. We try to create a society of all of these hashtags and all of these rules so that you believe and feel the same way we do, and that's just not how.
No.
So I think you said it best when we have to. It's not about gun control. It's not about this control. It's about heart control, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't think like you.
And that's okay. God said, let us reason together.
That's right.
You don't reason with someone that agrees with everything
Exactly.
you say. So by virtue of coming to reason together, that means you have an opposing viewpoint. The crutch of it is that God created us all different and unique. He did not want carbon copies where copy machines just spit out the DNA and spit out the person and spit out the culture. He intended for the diversity, because why? He had to spread the gifts around.
That's right.
So the gifts inside of me you need, the gifts inside of you I need. It's supposed to force us to work together, not put up walls of division.
And that's so true. How do we, in closing, what are some suggestions that you can give us to steer us into that? Because that way of thinking is the most beautiful, open way of thinking, open-minded, growth-minded way of thinking I could ever imagine. I've tried to teach that. In your professional and honest opinion, what are some ways that we can encourage people to start opening their minds to accept that everybody is different, to accept the beautiful part that everybody's different, that is beautiful. It's not a threat that somebody's a different religion. It's not a threat that somebody looks different than me or thinks different than me. How can we share this? How can we get people in on that bandwagon, so to speak?
That's an excellent question, and that in itself requires a paradigm shift. And there are so many things that make up someone's paradigm in terms of how they look and view the world.
Amen.
Their background, their education, their upbringing, their home life, their culture. There's a myriad of line items that create someone's view of the world. But we do it in the micro. We now should begin to do it in the macro. The micro is that we understand that my ears, my feet, and my balance need my ears. Two different organs, two different functions, but they need each other. Give me an ear infection, it messes with my equilibrium. It affects my balance. That has nothing to do with my feet, but they're connected. We have to look at the macro and say that you and I are connected. God intended us. We're different organs, part of the same human body, the human race, and we need each other. I need your giftings. I need your intellect. You need my giftings. You need my intellect for us to cohesively better mankind. Once we look at it from that macro standpoint, we don't see the separation of each other, but I begin to embrace your uniqueness. I begin to embrace who you are and your specialities. I begin to embrace that the very fingerprints on your hand can benefit humanity. And now I don't look at you as a threat, I look at you as an asset. I don't look at you as a liability, I look at you as a partner and say, hey, how can I better you? At the same time, you're bettering me, and we're bettering humanity, and we're becoming a better cohesive society for that.
Wow. I mean, you know, knowing you every day that I know you is another blessing. I truly and deeply appreciate the way you view, and I can't wait to talk with you more on these subjects. I look forward to the challenge of you and I helping people understand that there is no threat in unity. We seem to have turned unity in togetherness and appreciation as bad words somehow in the society.
The threat is isolation.
The threat is isolation.
God never intended. Our relationships with God are personal, but they were never to be lived in solitude. They were never to be lived in isolation.
That's right. We can't live as islands.
Or he would have given one person or one race all the gifts, and he did not. He spread them around.
Is there only one kind of tree in the forest? There's not only one kind of fish in the sea.
Absolutely.
There is a symbiotic relationship that we all work together in. It is going to be such a pleasure to accept this challenge to open minds. And I can't thank you enough for this time you shared with us.
And I look forward to working with you, because there's things that you're going to teach me, and we're going to teach each other, we're going to share with each other, we're going to relate on, and people will look at the dynamics that are presented here between age, race, color, religion, whatever the issues are. Those things are not there to divide us. We can share ideas. And one of the things that I've learned, my wife and I teach, is that it's okay to disagree with the idea. You don't disagree with the person. And that's where separation and labels do. They force us to disagree with the person. So you could be for capital punishment, I could be against it. And that should be okay. I still like Bob.
That's right. Amen. I mean, we have to take the emotional aspect, because it's not personal. Having a thought or difference of opinion should not be that personal of an idea. It should be an acceptance of a collaboration of creative minds. But we put emotion into that, saying, "Oh, you don't believe the way I do. I got to force you to believe the way I do," or I feel intimidated, which shouldn't be. But I can't. Like I said, this is going to be a great series. I hope to have many discussions, you and I discussing about this. So I want to thank you so very, very much, Pastor Parris, for being here with us. And let's explore this view more often and see if we can't start making a difference together.
We have to do our part to heal the land, and it starts with simple conversations like this.
Amen.
So thank
you so much. You have the best day ever.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.